Have you ever sat across the dinner table from the people who raised you and realized you meant absolutely nothing to them? Not less loved, not misunderstood, just nothing. You're looking at the same faces you've known your entire life, your mother, your father, your own blood, but suddenly it hits you, not like a scream, but like a heavy, freezing silence. You look into their eyes for warmth, but all you see is calculation, expectation, entitlement. That's the moment you stop denying the truth. You weren't family, you were an investment, a breathing ATM, someone to ignore when empty and drain the second you had something to give. Welcome to Silent Calm Revenge, where silence isn't weakness, it's power. If you've ever been the silent provider, you belong here. Subscribe and join the circle. Let us know in the comments, have you ever felt like a paycheck to your own family? Your story matters. Now stay with me, because everything is about to change. My name is Olivia Thompson. I'm 34 years old, and for 12 years my family treated me like a ghost, unless they needed a miracle. To them, I wasn't a daughter. I was a problem solver, a bill payer, a backup plan they never had to think. They called me the cold one, the selfish daughter who chose a career over family. But the truth? I was the only one keeping their world from collapsing. It all came to a head on a humid Saturday in Austin, Texas. The air was thick, heavy with the smell of charcoal and summer heat. Above us, the ceiling fan spun with a rhythmic, irritating click, 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 like a countdown. Across the table, my younger brother, Ethan, smiled. Not a warm smile. It was the smirk of a man about to collect a debt he hadn't earned. He cut into his steak, eyes fixed on his plate, and said it like he was checking the weather. "So, you're gonna cover the wedding, right?" No hesitation, no please. Just a demand wrapped in an assumption. "You don't have kids," he continued, finally glancing up. "You're not married. You've been stacking cash in that tech job for a decade now. We need this, Liv. Chloe deserves the best. And honestly, this is what family does." My mother sat at the head of the table, poised, controlled. Her silence was a weapon she'd spent years sharpening. "You don't really have responsibilities, Olivia," she added, her voice like silk over a blade. "This is your chance to finally contribute something meaningful." My father didn't say a word. He just leaned back, arms crossed, giving me that look he'd perfected since I was 16. "Don't disappoint us, not again." "Look," Ethan's voice sharpened, "the venue alone is $180K. The whole thing is pushing $400K. We're not asking for a loan," he smirked. "We're asking you to do the right thing. Stop hoarding." Hoarding. 12 years. I'd worked until my eyes burned. I'd missed holidays, birthdays, and my own life to pay off his debts and cover their emergencies. It was never about help. It was about access. I looked at the wall behind them. It was covered in photos. Ethan's trophies, family vacations, anniversaries. And there I was, a tiny, faded picture pushed into the far corner, almost out of the frame. That's when it happened. A shift. Quiet. Permanent. Like a heavy vault door locking shut. "I'll think about it," I said softly. My voice was neutral. Empty. They relaxed. They smiled. They thought they'd won. They thought I was the same easy target I'd always been. But that night, sitting in my car with my hands trembling on the wheel, I felt a terrifying freedom. 4 years ago, after the last time they took everything, I had made myself a promise, a silent one, and it was finally time to keep it. They wanted a wedding they'd never forget? Fine. I was going to give them exactly what they asked for. But by the time I was done, they'd wish they had never spoken my name.
That night, I didn't go inside my apartment right away. I just sat in my car, engine off, lights out, hands still resting on the steering wheel. For a long time, I didn't think about the wedding. I thought about patterns. Because moments like that don't just happen once. They repeat, quietly, consistently, until one day you finally see them for what they are. 12 years. That's how long it took me to realize it was never an accident. It was by design. And once you see the pattern, you can't unsee it. My phone buzzed. A message from my mother. Send me your availability tomorrow. We need to finalize vendor payments. Not can you, not would you, just an instruction. Then Ethan, I'll forward the updated invoices. You'll handle it faster anyway. A third notification popped up, a shared document, budget breakdown, highlighted section, Olivia, final coverage. No discussion, no agreement, just a cold, hard assumption. That's when the memory hit me, not gently, but all at once. Thanksgiving, 5 years ago. The house was full, warm and alive, laughter filling every corner, the smell of roasted turkey and cinnamon in the air. It looked like home, but it never felt like it. If you're still with me and you've ever felt like the invisible glue holding a broken family together, drop the name of your city in the comments below. I want to see where our circle is watching from. And if you haven't yet, hit that subscribe button, because Olivia's plan is about to get very real. 3 weeks before that dinner, my family had almost lost everything. My father's investments had collapsed. Foreclosure was days away. I remember listening to my mother cry on the phone. She wasn't asking directly. She was just letting me hear her break.
So I emptied everything. My savings, my emergency fund, my 401k. One silent, immediate transfer. The house was saved. But at dinner, nobody mentioned it. That would mean acknowledging me. Instead, Uncle Wyatt raised a glass to Ethan for landing a great sales job. The room exploded in cheers. Then the shift. Wyatt turned to me. So, Olivia, 30 now, right? Still working all the time? When are we finally getting a wedding from you? Before I could breathe, my mother sighed. Olivia is married to her job. It's just sad. She's missing real life. No family, no warmth. Ethan laughed. At least her stocks will keep her warm at night. The table erupted in laughter. 20 people, all comfortable, eating the food I paid for in the house I had just saved, talking about me like I was a cautionary tale. I looked at my mother, hoping for a spark of defense. She just sipped her wine and smiled. Back in the car, 5 years later, I let that memory settle. For the first time, I wasn't trying to explain their behavior. I was accepting it. They didn't forget what I did. They chose to ignore it. They didn't love me. They used me. My phone buzzed again. Another invoice, another demand. But for the first time in 12 years, I didn't feel pressure. I felt clarity. Because 4 years ago, after the last emergency drained me, I stopped reacting. I started building. Quietly, carefully. No arguments, no speeches, just action. I finally understood. You don't escape people like this by fighting them. You escape them by outgrowing their reach. While they still saw me as a safety net, I was becoming something they could never touch again. Sitting there in the dark, watching their messages pile up, I realized the truth. They weren't preparing for a wedding. They were walking straight into a moment that would change everything. And they had absolutely no idea. Not yet. The next morning, I didn't reply right away. Not to my mother, not to Ethan, not to the endless stream of invoices flooding my phone. I let them wait. It wasn't a punishment. It was a shift. For 12 years, I had trained them to expect one thing,
immediate compliance, fast replies, no resistance. And now, for the first time, that pattern broke. 3 hours passed, then 5, then 8. My phone kept buzzing, texts stacking up. Did you see this? Need confirmation ASAP. Liv, vendors are asking. I finally picked up the phone, read every single one, and replied with just 3 words. Noted? Okay. Understood. No yes, no no, no emotion. And something subtle happened. For the first time, they didn't know where they stood with me. Confusion? That's where power begins. Days turned into weeks, and the pressure increased, exactly like it always did. But this time, I didn't absorb it. I observed it. Because while they were planning a wedding, I was executing something far bigger. 4 years ago, after the last time they drained me dry, I reached a point most people never talk about. Not anger, not sadness, something deeper, detachment. I stopped trying to earn a love that was never being offered. Instead, I asked myself, what happens if I stop being available? The answer terrified me. So I didn't make a dramatic exit. I just disappeared, strategically. While they continued living exactly the same way, I started building in the dark. Late nights, early mornings, every bonus, every stock, every side hustle, I redirected all of it. I created a holding company under my middle name. No connection to Olivia Thompson, no trace. And then I found my leverage. A boutique luxury events company. Small, exclusive, and undervalued. One of their properties sat on the edge of Austin, hidden behind old oak trees. Elegant, private, untouchable. The Pearl Garden Estate. I moved carefully. I didn't buy it outright. That would have been too loud. I invested layer by layer, stake by stake. Invisible ownership. Until one day, without anyone noticing, I crossed 51%. Majority control.
If you're still with me, you know that real power doesn't scream. It whispers. Type your city in the comments if you've ever made a silent move that changed your life. And don't forget to subscribe, because we are reaching the point of no return. Back in the present, my phone buzzed. A voice note from Ethan. I pressed play. Hey, just checking. We locked the Pearl Garden Estate. Chloe's obsessed with it. Honestly, the best venue in Austin right now. He paused, then laughed. You'll love it too, since you're basically paying for it. I didn't react, not even a smile, because for the first time in my life, I wasn't the one being set up. They were. The wedding planning became more ridiculous by the day. Imported flowers, custom lighting, designer everything. And every single invoice was sent with the same assumption. Olivia will handle it. And every time I gave the same response. Noted. Okay. Understood. I watched them build it, piece by piece, detail by detail, like architects designing their own collapse. Because what they didn't know, what they couldn't even imagine, was that the venue they were bragging about, the one they believed I would pay for, was already mine. Legally, irreversibly, mine. I wasn't planning a messy revenge. I was planning a moment. One single moment where everything would become clear. Not through an argument, but through the truth. The wedding wasn't just an event anymore. It was a stage, and they had no idea who was about to step into the spotlight, or what it would finally cost them. Not yet. The wedding day arrived exactly the way they had imagined it. Perfect, flawless, expensive. The sky above Austin was a soft, endless blue. White roses lined the aisle in perfect symmetry, and a live string quartet played softly in the background. It looked like a dream, and that was the point.
because the more perfect the illusion, the more devastating the truth becomes when it breaks. I didn't arrive early. I didn't check in. I arrived late, invisible to the family who only saw me as a bank account. I took a seat in the very back. Ethan stood at the altar, confident and proud, exactly how he looked when you believed he was winning. For a brief moment, as the vows ended and applause filled the air, it almost felt like a real family. But the day wasn't over, not even close. The reception was grander, 500 guests under golden crystal chandeliers. Every detail was perfect. Every detail was paid for by me. I stayed in the background, watching, not as a victim, but as the owner. Then came the moment. The MC announced, the owners of the Pearl Garden Estate would like to present a special message to the bride and groom. The room went silent. I stood up, slowly, deliberately. The sound of my heels echoed against the polished floor. Click, click, click. Every step was measured. I took the microphone and faced the room.
Hi, my name is Olivia Thompson, I said calmly. I'm Ethan's older sister. I let the silence become uncomfortable. Over the past 12 years, I've been called many things. The disappointment, the cold one, the selfish woman who chose work over family. I locked eyes with my parents and Ethan. My mother's smile vanished. Today, I wanted to contribute something meaningful, just like I always have. The screen behind me lit up. The first image was a legal document. Ownership of Pearl Garden Estate. Majority shareholder, Olivia Thompson, 51%. A massive gasp ripped through the room. 500 people froze. Then I clicked the remote again. A spreadsheet appeared. Every transfer, every debt, every emergency I had covered for 12 years. At the bottom, one line stood out in bold red. Total, $487,000. This wedding, I said, my voice steady, is my final contribution. The venue is fully paid. No invoice will follow. But from this moment forward, I am no longer your solution. I am not your backup plan. I am not your emergency contact. My life is no longer available for your convenience. I placed a thick envelope on the table in front of Ethan. Everything you need to understand is in there. Enjoy your night. I walked off the stage and through the doors without a single look back. Outside, the night air was cool and still. For the first time in 12 years, I just breathed. No expectations, no weight, just silence. And this time, silence felt like peace. 2 weeks later, the messages started. Ethan was hesitant. My father was furious about the public embarrassment. My mother sent paragraphs of guilt-wrapped love. I didn't listen to the voicemails. I didn't read the texts. I blocked them all, one by one. 12 years of access ended in seconds. I moved to a house in the hills, a place with no history attached to the walls. My work grew naturally, and every new deal I signed wasn't about proving them wrong. It was about never needing them again. People think revenge is loud, but the most powerful revenge is building a life so complete that the people who once controlled you no longer have a place in it. No arguments, no final fights, just absence. I stopped asking for love from people who only understood value. I stopped proving my worth to people who benefited from doubting it. You are not hard to love. You were just giving your loyalty to people who only understood transactions. The moment you stop, everything changes. I didn't win because I exposed them. I won the moment I chose myself. And quietly, I set myself free. If Olivia's journey to freedom inspired you, let us know by dropping a heart and the name of your city in the comments. We love seeing how far these stories travel. If you've ever had to choose yourself over a toxic situation, your story belongs here. Subscribe to Silent Calm Revenge to make sure you never miss a chapter. Remember, you are more
than what you can provide.